Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Personal Mastery Training. Just like the name says, this podcast, for your first time listening, it's all about that. How can we train the brain, train your mind, train your spirit, train your soul in order to go the distance? Because life is the game. Life is the game that we should master. See, I don't believe in getting through life, getting through challenges. If you just get through life, my God, that's a long life. That's a long and draining life if you're just getting through it. No matter if you live 30, 40, 50, 80 years of getting through something, it's tiring. But what if we flip the switch and get from life? Then I believe this path will be worth every second if we just get from it and learn the lessons through the challenges. And I'm going to guarantee you this, that you won't repeat them. Because whether it be in your finances, your health, your sport, you're going to keep repeating those lessons if you do not stop and get from it. You will repeat it. Trust me. Think about it. So I do 2 episodes here on this podcast. I do a strategy session, which is today, and I do a masterclass. The strategy session is all about tips and strategies to master life, your inner game. Because when you can master yourself, forget about outside. Why do you think 2 fighters, 2 competitors attempt to overtake mentally the other opponent? Because they're trying to master their inner game, to break them from inside, to steal their soul. So if you have a stronger reserve constitution, impenetrable, that's what you want to make that. Because life and business and everything else outside of ourselves will attempt to break us. The thing is to assure yourself and to make sure you are ready to weather the storm of life, because it will throw you a few storms. Secondly, I do a masterclass. This is where I interview thought leaders, authors, influencers who have walked the path. They're in the arena. These people are doing it and doing it again. They're falling 7, getting up 8. And I interview them. We talk to them, because success leaves clues, and we pick it apart. I invite you to grab your journal, do the same, put the work in. I'm above putting the work in. I can bring all this resources to you, but please take it and use it. And that's how you reward me for bringing this to you, is to do the work. That's when it's worth it. All right, so here's what I want to talk about today in this episode, this strategy session. This session is called, Is Fatigue Making You a Coward? I heard this great quote by Vince Lombardi. Vince Lombardi said, "Fatigue makes cowards of us all." For me, when I hear quotes, they're not only nice things I just post and not even look at them. You know, everybody can post, be the change you want to see in the world, and all these other quotes. But are you being the change you want to see in the world? Are you doing the things that quote, those bits of information, those bits of wisdom, the sound bites that someone took from a lifetime of challenge, and they took one thing to summarize it and they leave it in a quote? I want to know what it is. I want to figure it out. So I take it, I chop it up, and I want to see, does fatigue make me a coward? So this makes me think back in the days when I used to compete. I was a competitive wrestler in high school. Then from there, I went on to martial arts and to box. And I also competed competitively in dance, and then professionally in dance. All those challenges took me to my edge. And I have to tell you, the times when I entertained quitting was when I hit my fatigue level, when I didn't prepare properly, and when I didn't come to the table ready to go the distance. I entertained quitting. Absolutely. I could feel the soul leaving my body. I can feel the opponent gaining on me. I could feel my mind looking for the door, how to get out of here. Have you ever watched boxing, any fighting, anything that includes 2 people going at each other, 2 people competing against each other? When you start to see the other opponent looking at the clock, starting to look somewhere else, starting to extract themselves from the moment, you know the soul is leaving their body. This is when you see two boxers staring each other down. And the goal is I'm attempting to see, I'm attempting to look into your soul to see if you are there. If you start to give me a look away or anything to let me see, I just broke you. I just got into your soul. That's what I want to do. I want to steal your soul. And us outside can also see it. Because you got to remember 93% of communication is nonverbal. 58% is body language. Another 38. 55 is body language, 38 is vocal variety, and so on. But the 55%, we're picking it up when we see a posture change. The person starts to, it starts to show up in their bodies. Okay. So we can tell when someone is starting to experience fatigue. Think about your own life. Let's take it into our own personal lives, whether it be business, sports, life. When do you know when you're fatiguing? See, it's when you're entertaining quitting in the middle of the journey. That's when you entertain taking the shortcut. That's when you're entertaining retreating, backing up, doing the easy work, not doing a little extra. I remember doing a seminar with my mentor, Dr. Bob Rukowski, and he said something really interesting to these young baseball players. He said, if you had to do 5 things that would lead to greatness, which one would you not do? Which one would you choose not to do? And the answer to that is you do them all. You do everything. Because those who are great, they don't skip. They don't skip the little things, the mundane things, the boring things that you have to do over and over and over. And they do the preparation in order so fatigue doesn't make them a coward. See, everyone can do something. We all have courage within us, but it has to be unlocked. And to maintain it, you have to be prepared. You have to do the work. You have to do the little extra in your life. So this sounds like a lot of sports, but think about life in general. When does someone, say, get up to do a speech and they start to become distracted, start to become self-conscious, start to experience fear? When they're not prepared. When someone has a big meeting, a big proposal, and they aren't prepared, the fatigue is they start to forget their lines. They start to get distracted. They freeze. This is lack of preparation, which is fatigue. It leads to cowardice, and you start to back up. When does someone start to take the easy road, grab the low-hanging fruit, not do the little extra to level up their game, to get the promotion, to keep persevering? When does someone choose to do something that's against their values? That's when they fatigue, when you experience fatigue, financial fatigue. That's another one. When do you start to do things that are going against your moral values? When you experience fatigue, financial fatigue, you take the easy road. So fatigue does make cowards of us all. So I'm going to ask you, what can you do to prevent early fatigue? In your job, is it doing the extra studies, the extra work you need to do the work when no one's looking, to put in the extra time? Because I don't personally believe you just get raises because you're showing up. I believe you get raises when you're adding value if you own a business. How do you raise your price? How do you get more customers? By doing the extra mile, by showing people you care, by doing things above and beyond the baker's dozen. That's how you do it. Okay. But you can't do that if you experience fatigue. So you're getting my point here. In your sport, what's the little extra you have to do when I work with my bodybuilding clients, when they have to pose on stage, part of their protocols is a posing section. And you can see some people cramping. You can see some people waning. They're unconfident. It just shows up. And it might be that little bit that convinced the judges that you came here to win. Are you doing your posing, or is it just a side thing that I'll do later? No. What do you skip? Nothing. You do everything. So in your work, what do you have to do? The extra courses, the little extra when The things you weren't asked to do, but you do those. Trust me on this. Companies keep people they can't lose. In today's world, it's difficult to find great people. Do the little extra. And if not for them, for you, because it just tells your brain that you're that type of person who does a little extra. So, fatigue. Where are you experiencing lack of courage? And how do you then increase your muscle, your willpower? How do you avoid fatigue? Think about it. Journal on it. Where in my life, business, relationship, sport, health, whatever, you name it. Where am I experiencing the inability to go through the barriers, to go through the fear? And is it fatigue that's stopping me? Think about that. Give it some thought. Chop it up. Let me know. All right. That's it. Fatigue. Stop making you a coward. Get the endurance you need. Okay. If you know someone who could use this information and you want to, let's build this community together of people who believe in stopping, jumping off the treadmill, and finally doing the work to get from life. Finally stop repeating the same, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Let's do something a little different. Let's think and grow rich. Not only in money, but rich in quality of life. So think about it. All right. That's it for me. Like, subscribe, share, get in contact with us if you want to book an appointment just to see if we're compatible. Okay. Until next time, you know why I do what I do. I love this stuff. I love looking at life and just chopping it up. So you know why I do what I do? Because I want me to be relentless about my pursuit for what brings me joy. I call it personal mastery. I call it personal greatness. Let me know I can help. Peace and love.